Good morning.
Morning, sir.
Yeah, we should be happy. It's a happy day. It's a great day for us. Obviously there are about 1 million people to thank for this. I'm just excited. The governor, acting governor, is here today. Sheila Oliver. Um, yeah. And I must add, when we first decided, we stepped foot here and decided that something needed to be done. She was here then, and she's here now to see us cut the ribbon for her. But the administration jumped right in to make sure that this actually took place, because we've been working and fighting on this way before that. And we are just glad that, you know, I know I am, and Omni, I know everybody over there is also happy that was able to take place. And, also just want to welcome the Regional 2 Administrator here with us this morning, who just like Chuck, probably needs an office in the city of Newark. Who I know we've been working her nerves a little bit. She's been over here on numerous projects, trying to make sure that we have quality housing for the residents of this city. It's one thing for this housing to be affordable, but it also must be quality. And sometimes we get it confused. We think quality doesn't mean affordable, and affordable doesn't mean quality. We think because people can't afford the rents that they should be able to live in any situation that we put them in. I reject that notion. I know she rejects that notion, and we thank God that Omni rejects that notion. I know the governor, lieutenant governor, everybody rejects that idea that we want to have housing in the city of Newark that's affordable, but that's also decent at the same time. I got to thank the council people here, Councilwoman MacGyver here with us, Councilman at large, Eddie Osborne. This is the Councilwoman's ward. I got to add before I sat down, this place looks already different. When we stood here and had a press conference in this spot, I walked into the supermarket. There were rodents dead on the ground. There was roaches in the baby food. Some of the groceries were 1 year and 2 years old in that place. There were abandoned apartments with cats in the abandoned apartments, furniture in the abandoned apartments, people squatting in abandoned apartments. I mean, this was the poster child for what not to be done in public housing, right? This place was a disaster, and anything that happened out of here, I would say, should be attributed to the living conditions that we heaped upon these people for so many years. I remember when former Mayor Cory Booker slept in the parking lot with a tent because, to bring attention to how horrible this situation is. I'm just not a parking lot sleeping kind of a guy. So I wouldn't be in the parking lot sleeping. But I'm just happy that I'm in the parking lot under this tent, and that we've put millions of dollars into this building to make sure that the housing is quality. It's a proud day for all of us. I know it's a proud day for the residents of the city, for the councilwoman, for the acting governor, for all of us. So we want to thank you for this day. Omni, thank you for the work that you've done for us here in the city of Newark. God bless you. Thank you. I believe I get an opportunity to introduce our acting governor, Sheila Oliver. I already said that she was here once before, so this is not new to her. This is her city, too. She was born here in this community, in this town, and she stepped foot here and saw the conditions, and she went right to work. So it's a pleasure to have her with us today, Acting Governor Sheila Oliver.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Academy and Garden Spires. As the mayor made reference to, this is a property that I know well. Growing up in Newark, I remember when this was built. And as the mayor referenced, you saw, significant numbers of professionals who lived here. You saw teachers and others. The neighborhood was extremely vibrant. Through the years, unfortunately, prior owners and management at these apartments did not do a good job. and they subjected, as you heard the governor describe, the most inhumane conditions that you could imagine. One of the first things that the Murphy administration did in consultation with our partners at HUD was to focus attention on these buildings. I can remember, as Commissioner of the Department of Community Affairs, my back and forths with our president over at the NHMA, Chuck Richmond. We had to figure out how to, first of all, get Omni to be able to acquire the property, and then put the financing together to do what we had to do. So I do want to thank Omni for making the commitment to be here, and they have made good on their promise to renovate Garden and Spruce Spires into safe and sanitary housing. As I look at these revitalized buildings today, we know that in a short period of time, Omni has really put their people to work in getting us where we are today. Often it takes months and years for properties like this to get back online. But I want to commend you for the facilitation that you did to get us here today. The improvements have been made over the last 18 months, and the residents as well worked hard, and they're now proud to have an apartment where they can entertain, raise their children, and feel comfortable at home. Because at the end of the day, what this is about, these are people's homes. And I think that we have given collectively the residents a sense of dignity that they deserve as human beings. Sometimes we take for granted that when we turn on the faucet, the water comes on, or when we come home after a chilly day, there's no heat. The fact that when we call the management office, we don't get an answer and we don't get responsiveness to what we've asked for. Well, we are changing the paradigm here, and we're deeply committed to it, not just those of us in the Murphy administration. You will remember that this is also one of the first things that Mayor Baraka put his focus on. And I can recall early in our tenure in Trenton, Mayor on the phone and connecting up with Governor Murphy and DCA and MHFA to make this work. So Mayor Baraka, you didn't have to sleep in a tent though. But our mayor doesn't have to sleep in a tent. It's sort of like, what's that commercial when Bear Stearns speaks, everybody listens, or something like that. So we want to thank you for that, Mayor. We're doing a variety of things in the Murphy administration to address exactly what Mayor Baraka made reference to, creating safe and sanitary and attractive, affordable housing for people, not just in Newark, but all over the state. We are proud that one of the first things that Governor Murphy did for us at the Department of Community Affairs, he resurrected the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. For 8 years, the trust fund was defunct. Nonprofit and for-profit developers had no ability to create the housing that we needed. But in this current year's budget, $60 million was restored to the Department of Community Affairs. The other thing that we've done that's exciting in Newark, and we did this at Newark City Hall with the mayor, RWJ Barnabas is teaming up with the New Jersey Housing Mortgage Finance Agency, and we will jointly build housing in the South Ward of Newark. And many of you may know that people who are chronically homeless often, veterans, those who may be challenged, often they are in the revolving door in the hospital setting. It is extremely expensive to do that. And why many people in that particular population do that is because they don't have a place to live. So we're very proud of the hospital subsidy program that we are working in. And we're doing it in Patterson and other communities as well, Jersey City. Chuck announced earlier that the funding under the Special Needs Housing Subsidy Loan Program, it's administered by HMFA, and it is the first major new funding source in 7 years to provide supportive and affordable housing statewide. And I know that our council people who often respond to constituent issues, I know that you're always challenged when people call your offices and people who have handicapping conditions and other things. This new fund will allow us to create housing for that specialized population. And then I want you to know that more than $50 million in low-income housing tax credits have been awarded to 39 affordable housing developments to create about 2,600 additional affordable housing. These tax credits are generating nearly $804 million in investment in affordable housing development. And that is part of our commitment from the governor's office to create a stronger and fairer New Jersey for all people. And I just give you these examples to put in context for you that we have prioritized affordable housing in the Murphy administration. And we could not have accomplished any of this without the regional administrator of the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. And everywhere I go, I tell people we are truly blessed. We are blessed that Lynn Patton has been designated as our regional administrator. She gets it. She is no stranger to urban environments. And I tell Lynn all the time, I knew she was my girl when she slept in the New York Housing Authority projects for 1 whole month. And yes, she did. Yes, she did. And she wanted to experience what residents were experienced. And she came with her combat boots and her backpack, and she commingled with the seniors and came back to the regional office knowing what she had to do as administrator. So Lynn, I want to thank you for what you did for our neighbors in New York. And without further ado, Lynn Patton, the regional administrator of the U.S. Department of Housing and Development.
Wow, that's some introduction. Thank you, Acting Governor. I know you have to go, but I am president of this woman's fan club. She is amazing. Another round of applause, everybody. You know, today is one of those days when you don't need notes. You can speak from the heart because that's how much this project means to me. And much like Mayor Raz Baraka, I don't like sleeping in parking lots either. But as the acting governor just said, I did sleep in New York City Public Housing Authority for a period of 1 month. And what I am here to say today is that Garden Spruce and Spires was New Jersey's NYCHA. There is no question in my mind that this was a humanitarian crisis. You know, I've been in this position for 3 years, but I wasn't in it for 3 weeks when one of my employees came running into my office, said, turn on the TV, and there were 2 New Jersey senators touring what I thought had to be one of the worst properties I'd ever seen. And I said, whose property is that? And my team said, well, that's yours. And we were here the next day with Chuck Richmond trying to figure out how do we fix this. And from day one, those 2 senators were Jennifer Beck and also Ron Rice. So it's been a bipartisan effort from the beginning. And I want to thank both of them for bringing attention to this, and also Mayor Ras Baraka for bringing attention to this issue long before the rest of us did. You know, I declared war a year ago on New Jersey slumlords, and I know the HUD legal department doesn't like me using that word, but you know, an affirmative defense is the truth. It's the first thing you learn in law school. And the prior owner of this property was a slumlord, and HUD forced him out. And I want to thank Chuck Richmond for making it clear to us that he was not going to fork over 1 penny of this volume cap that Omni had waited 4 years for, if it meant Pomerantz was going to get 1 red cent from the sale of this property. And my multifamily team, I want to thank Dean, obviously, Margaret, Brett, Brenda, Carlton, everybody at HUD for working with the deck to make sure that we cited this property with so many penalties and so many fees that when they did finally get around to selling it to an amazing preservation buyer that is Omni, we were able to seize all of the proceeds from that sale immediately, making sure that nobody profited for being a bad landlord. And Omni, I don't even know where to start. You took an investment, first of all, patiently waited almost 4 years to 5 to make this happen. My first meeting with them, they're holding up this letter. Chuck promised us $60 million. You know, and I'm thinking to myself, well, the governor, I know him. Let me just call him up and get this money. What's the problem? You know, and I was told, well, we don't have it anymore. I don't know whether it went to American Dream or what, but I was dumbfounded and I couldn't believe it. And one of the best examples of bipartisanship I think I've ever seen in my career, and certainly maybe even in this country, was the fact that Governor Murphy's administration heard our cries for help, saw the long-suffering residents living here, heard the amazing work that Omni had been doing, heard the cries for help from our elected officials, from Mayor Ras Baraka, who I have had the honor of working on many projects with. You know, HUD is forcing the sale of every slumlord property in this city. Stafford, for example, at Thanksgiving, everybody knows. We are making sure that the people who own the buildings in this town provide decent, safe, and sanitary housing. But for Governor Murphy and Acting Governor Lieutenant Oliver to come forward and say, you know what, this is the right thing to do. We are going to make good on Governor Christie's promise of this volume cap, and we are going to see this through, was something that I will never forget. So today, we are finally here to come full circle and celebrate the nearly $2 million completion of this incredible rehabilitation for the long-suffering residents of Garden, Spruce, and Spires. And I, for one, am just so honored to be here. And, you know, like I said, I like to think I'm a tough cookie, but this person who I'm about to introduce next has me beat by a mile. Chuck Richmond, who many of you know was the former commissioner of DCA. You can't do anything in New Jersey without DCA. But you also can't do anything in New Jersey without New Jersey HMFA. And he has done such an amazing job there. It's an honor to actually have seen him twice in 1 week. You know, I know we have a lot of great projects coming down the pipe, and I look forward to working with you on those. But he is one of the reasons why we are here today. Chuck put his foot down, said, HUD, you have to make sure this works without any profit. I was like, last I checked, this is still the United States of America, so I don't know how that works, but we made it happen, and because of this man. So please put your hands together for Chuck Richmond. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. Thank you so very much. You know, there are people who say government doesn't work. but this is an example of how government can work and how it can be successful and how it can provide really decent, affordable housing, bringing back buildings. I was astonished driving up here today how beautiful they look. It was 18 months ago when they started the rehabilitation, and I was skeptical it could ever be done in 18 months. They were dark, it was ugly, it wasn't inviting, and today it's beautiful. And I understand virtually rented up, which is something to say of what the team and Omni has done. You know, we celebrate success today, but I want to spend one moment just talking about the last 5 years. Mayor Baraka led a charge in the courts to force the developer to do the work that was absolutely necessary. An owner who was collecting some $500,000 a month in assistance to pay for these buildings and kept it in conditions that no one should ever live in. And the mayor went in the court and turned the heat up. The Department of Community Affairs came into both Spruce and Garden Apartments, did an inspection, found over 2,000 violations of the housing codes, many of which were life safety hazards. Our fire inspectors put smoke detectors in buildings in some of these apartments while they were doing the inspections. That's how bad it was. We got together, as Lynn just said, with HUD, with the city, and pressured and pressured and pressured and made it work. And somewhere along that line, and it was, I don't remember, it was 3 years or 4 years ago, but at an event in Atlantic City, I ran into Rob Bennett of Omni, or he ran into me. And that first meeting was less than pleasant. It was, why are we letting Omni figure out how to do this? And we left that evening not very close, I think. But we ran into each other the next morning, and both of us had the same goal. It was a development that had to change hands. And so how do we make that happen? And we laid out a framework for how to move forward. I made it clear that the federal government and the state government wasn't going to allow the old owner very much leeway. If the old owner was going to get anything out of it, it was coming out of Omni's pocket, not coming out of the government's. And from that, we started to work really hard on making the financing work. And this is, Lynn left off a couple of zeros. This is probably close to a $200 million rehabilitation. And between the two developments, close to 600 units, I believe. I mean, that's a phenomenal undertaking, both in terms of putting the finance package together and, more importantly, completing it in 18 months. It is remarkable, and we're celebrating today, and I hope people here today have a chance to go in and look at the buildings, look at the safety improvements that are made, look at how the units have been rehabbed, and see where government and the private sector can work together and how you can make that work. Now, there's one other partner in making this happen and brought a vital financial component to this, and that's the New Jersey Economic Development Authority. No one of our agencies alone could have made this happen. $200 million is a lot of money. And so EDA stepped up and made funds available, and I'm happy to introduce to you Paul Seppi of the Economic Development Authority.
Thanks, Joe. Appreciate it. Good morning, folks. I have the pleasure of representing the Economic Development Authority. I've got a couple colleagues in the back, Janelle Johnson and Diane Eubinger, who were instrumental in the process, and certainly Tanya and Rosie from HMFA were were crucial in pulling this all together. It is about collaboration. It's about working together with the developer, with the local folks. I mildly disagree that Gene was patient, as there were several conversations that we were on after hours. After hours for government work isn't 4 o'clock, contrary to what folks believe, but way past 6 o'clock, I know folks were crunching numbers and understanding what's going on and how to make this project work. And in the end, it is about collaboration, but what it's really about is the residents here. 600 plus families living in these 2 buildings now. And speaking with Gene before, there were over 200 vacancies in the facility, or within the 2 buildings. And now to have 98% occupied is incredible and a true testament to the work and effort that they've put in. So I do, absolutely, right? So I appreciate the opportunity of being here. These are wonderful buildings. Congratulations to the team and all the partners, and most importantly to the residents here. Thank you so much. With that, I'll introduce Gene.
When we started this, I didn't wear glasses. I would say that here, but I didn't. so good morning, everyone. I'd like to thank everybody that took time out of their busy schedules to make time to be here. And everybody's very busy, so we really appreciate it. I also really want to thank the residents of Garden Spires and Spruce Spires, because while we worked for this for 5 years and then the last 18 months working on the rehab, I mean, this is a tough process for the tenants. It was tough living here, and look, during the rehab process, it's also a tough process. So again, for the residents, we really want to thank everybody for their cooperations, for their patience, and look, we hope to do the right thing, and we look to working together with the residents for a long time here. Mayor Rasbaraka, thank you, because we actually signed the contract for this before you were the mayor. And then we met with you first time and you said, look, let's get this done. And during that whole time, you made calls, you pushed, you understood what needed to be done. You pushed legally, the legal levers that needed to be done. So thank you very much. Your commitment, I mean, it's real. And everybody in your office, everyone that works for the city of Newark, thank you very much. Councilmember McIver, thank you very much during the rehab process. You missed all the fun before, but then you came in right for the rehab process, and you helped us with the various meetings with the tenants, talking about the process. I mean, you and your staff, so thank you very much. We appreciate it. You made our work easier, explaining the process to the tenants and everything else, and that's what we need when we have partnership with our government partners, so thank you very much. Lieutenant, Acting Governor Oliver, and everyone in the Murphy administration. As soon as the Murphy administration came in and was put together, and the housing folks were put together, I mean, the process really took off. And from the time the governor assumed office to the time we were finally able to close, it took about 7 months or so, but that's just the normal length of transaction for these type of deals. So again, everyone in the Murphy administration, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Thank you for your commitment to affordable housing. HUD Regional Administrator Lynn Pan. So we went to Lynn Pan's office. It was Rob, Mo, myself, Margaret Wingate was there, Dean Santa was there. So we came. We did come with our letter and said, hey, where's our volume cap? Can you please help? And Lynn Pan did say, wait, I know the governor, former governor. I know. She says, let me call, see what's going on here. But it took a little time, but we got it done. But thank you. I mean, your commitment to not only in New Jersey but everywhere in the region, and we do a lot of affordable housing in New York City, and your commitment to affordable housing is real. So it doesn't matter, what administration. No, it's true. People say, and New York City is, mostly a Democratic administration, but people say good things about you because you care, you do the right thing. So thank you very much. On behalf of everybody in the affordable industry, thank you. Executive Director Chuck Richmond, and everybody at New Jersey HMFA. I know Tanya Hudson-Murray's here, and a few other folks are here. Thank you for once we got the green light, working with us, the flexibility, the creativity. I mean, this especially Garden here, because it had the 200 vacant units. We had to get really creative on the financing part. So thank you very much. And Chuck, you were correct, because Rob called me that night that you met, and he said, hey, I ran into Chuck Richmond. I said, how'd it go? He said, not good. I said, okay. But then he did call me the next morning. It was the Atlantic City Affordable Housing. He said, we had a much better conversation in the morning. So your recollection is correct. So, but thank you very much. Thank you, and thank you for, for the work that you're currently doing and the work you've done for the state of New Jersey. So thank you very much, and we look forward to doing more deals with you and your staff. New Jersey EDA, we have Paul, we have Janelle, we have Diane here. Again, look, the ERC credits that were needed here, I mean, there was a lot of rehab to be paid between Garden and Spruce, so thank you very much. I mean, that was a very much needed resource, without which we could not have completed this rehab and provided, basically, rebuild these two complexes. So thank you very much, and thank you to your staff. We also have here, our financial partners from KeyBank and from Fannie here. Again, thank you very much for working with us, for being creative, for being flexible, to working through the fact that there were 200 vacant units. And we said, don't worry about it. Once we rehab this, people are going to move into these buildings. And you said, why would people move into these buildings? We've done some research. This has the worst reputation in Newark. I said, don't worry about it. Once we do the rehab, once we make the changes, once we put the security cameras in, once we, put new boilers, new windows, new roofing, fix the buildings, people will move in here. I said, just trust us. And you did. And, thank you for the trust you put in. We appreciate it. Thank you very much. I want to also acknowledge Pastor Bartley and the National Action Network Tech World here. Look, we've started. I mean, thank you for all the work you're doing in Newark and, elsewhere. But, we've started the tech center here. I mean, we can take a look at it when we do the building tour, where the education and the work that you're going to provide, that we're going to work together. We'll finance it. You provide it. But, it's very important. And look, tech education in the low-income communities is very important, because the gap in the tech world is actually wider than in other industries. So, look, we look forward to working with you, and it's something that's important, and it's, some way to give back and improve the lives, especially the young people in these communities. So thank you very much. Lastly, but, most importantly, because we got to get the work done, on behalf of Rob, Mo, myself, I want to thank everyone in the Omni organization for getting this done. For Megan Thomas and Dave Fleming and everyone on the development and Omni team, for the long 5 years, and then, getting it done, to Willie Hirsch and everybody at Renewal, tough 18 months, very tough rehab, two very different projects between Garden and Spruce, but, your team did it. Wasn't easy, very difficult rehab, difficult conditions, but Willie and team, thank you very much. We appreciate it. Reliant Management, Matt, Holiday, Furman Garcia, Myron Haberchevsky, and, a lot of the staff here. We've got Liza, Melanie, thank you for turning this complex around. I mean, got Jenny Randello, thank you for, bringing in the proper staff here, but turning this around, making sure that the staff here is servicing the tenants, providing the services that are needed. In these buildings, even after the rehab, things aren't going to be perfect, and there's going to be things that go wrong, and things are going to leak, and things are going to break from time to time. But, thank you for the work and the staff being on top of it and making sure that, they rebuild, these buildings. And I see Arcadia here who rebuild the boiler system here, and we'll give a chance for anyone that wants to walk. It's a state-of-the-art heating system here now. So thank you very much. We have Neil, Nappy and his entire team from Reliance Safety for working together. We have, Earl, Robert, and others. We've installed between the two complexes, it's over 600 security cameras. But it's not only, the security cameras, it's the people that are working with the security and improving the quality of life. I mean, that's our most important thing, is improve the quality of life for the tenants. So thank you very much. And if I forgot to mention someone, I apologize. But look, in seriousness, we look forward to working with everybody, and most importantly, we look forward to providing quality, affordable housing. And it was right when it said quality and affordable housing should be one word. And we look forward to providing that, and that's our pledge, and we look forward to working with everybody. And I think we're now supposed to go over in front of the building and cut the ribbon. And then if anybody wants to see any apartments or anything else, we're available for tours. Thank you very much.
Just a quick question. I was here, original press conference. Where's Mo Vaughn?
He's around. He just couldn't make it today.